I'm
you
good, man.
doing?
Thank you. Seriously, I mean, I'm not just saying this, but like, I really appreciate you joining me. I'm really excited to talk to you. Seriously.
No, thank you for having
I'm
me. I
not,
really appreciate you inviting me out to do this and stuff.
absolutely. I'm not just saying this either. I mean, I know you from conventions, right? From the Northern California cons. That's kind of where I met you. I wanted to interview you because like you're seriously the most put together, enjoyable booth that I see. I mean, honestly.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I do really do appreciate that because I put a lot of thought into
Yeah.
plays and stuff of that thing. And I think I've actually had people come up and comment on that numerous times. And it's always I've had like young dudes kind of come up and go like, "How are you? Like, how do you do so well? Or how do you do this?" And then like I would look at their stuff. Like I would go over there and I'd look at their stuff, and I was like,
Oh, okay.
and then I give them this really really kind of vague description. I'm like, so hey man, have you ever like you and your friends ever go out and try to pick up women? And then he's like, yeah. Like I was like, so what do you do before you do that? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, what do you do? Like, and he's like, yeah, like you get like you look nice, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, well, care about how you present yourself, man. That's really all that really matters, the kind of thing. And that's
Your presentation is seriously like it's on point. It fits your style of art. It fits the way you are at the booth. Everything just comes together really nicely.
thank you, man. And that's what I said. It's just kind of I feel like the art is like 50% of it, and then also displaying your art is another 50%. And I think that like I think people kind of misconstrued that whole thing, and they would rather just pack the thing with art, feeling that that's enough. And the idea is presenting your art in a certain way also kind of gives it a different feel, and that's how that's what I think, anyways. So instead of kind of doing the normal like the big giant thing or the wall print thing, and I try to kind of try to convey it in a different way. And there's nothing wrong with how things are done. I prefer to do it this way. It's more complicated, and sometimes it's like a pain in the ass to kind of take on the road. But in long run, I think it ends up working. So.
It does, and it doesn't look like it's a pain in the ass. It looks like it's very approachable. It looks simple. I mean, I don't like to say the word simple, but it looks very approachable.
I think yeah, you're right. I think it is simple, and I think that like when it comes down to it, I think my art is simple. I think what I do is I try to keep everything very simple and to the point, and that's coming like from graphic design or design oriented thing. Is I try to keep everything very kind of clean and simple. So.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk more about your style in a little bit. Before that, why don't you just give us generally who you are, what are you working on right now? And while you're doing that, I'm actually going to start flipping through your Instagram if you're okay with that.
Yeah, do you think? So my name is Heinrich Salk. I go by the name of NOOLIGAN. It's like a pseudonym, I guess, or more of a. When I was first kind of doing this about 13 years ago. It's like my 13th year of conventions. I try to go by my regular name, and which kind of was not marketable in a sense where I feel like it wasn't the. So I had to go by something a little more simple.
Yeah.
For the most part, I kind of went on the road just kind of presenting my artwork and doing stuff like that. And then I got into doing comic books and started making my own comic books, and then eventually kind of start working for companies and stuff like that. And that's all I kind of do on a regular basis, So and that's all I do artwork and draw cartoons, man.
So this is your full-time thing?
Yeah, that's all I do. So.
All right. What are you working on right now? I know there's let's start with Union Street Choir.
So Union is like my favorite thing, and it's also like I worked on it with a buddy of mine named Ben Schwartz. I came up with this concept that I wanted to do these dudes, like a group of kids from the 1930s that are kind of like an inner city gang, and then they kind of fight with other gangs, and then it slowly becomes more supernatural. Unfortunately, like I don't get to spend as much time on it as I would like to. I'd like to just spend as much time on this only, but as you know, like, and as most of us know that create comic books, there's very little there's very little in the back end for paying your bills for something.
I haven't seen you. Well, this is the Union Street Choir page or Instagram. You haven't updated this in quite a while.
Really on it, man. It's like one of those things where like, I And I think as I became, you know, started working, doing stuff for DC and stuff, and then other people started kind of coming across. I ended up doing more for other things than I actually do get to spend on doing this for myself, kind of thing. And I'm trying to wrap up the first arc for San Diego, but that's like one of those things where it's kind of like a maybe I'll wrap it up in time for San Diego, you know. So,
how many issues is Union Street supposed to be, you think?
Well, it was supposed to be ongoing, but at the moment where I think we're approaching only the fourth issue, and I'm just trying to kind of think about in the long run, I want to think about how I want to continue doing it. The idea is that like I want to keep doing it, but then also cuts into like, or I always like you know, we always got to do what makes us money, unfortunately, you know, versus we would just rather do for fun. And like meetings of labor of love kind of thing, you know.
Well, and you more so because this is you're making a living off of it. I have a full-time job that I do, you know, something else.
Yeah.
So this is like you really do have to kind of cut out something you might be passionate about to focus on things that might make you more money, I guess.
Totally. And that's the thing is like I try not to stress about money as much. I feel like I think we talked about at the last show we saw each other. I think money kind of this weird thing where it's the idea that I try not to stress about how I make it kind of thing. I just like try to do what I do and try to let it come to me. But it also that's easier said than done because I used to stress out about it a lot. And then now I kind of just do my thing and hopefully it all works out. And for the most part, it kind of does. You know, I'm not saying I'm like balling out of control, but I'm able to kind of live more comfortably than I have when I actually did have a full-time job, you know.
But how can you be so lackadaisical about it? I mean, it's. I don't
know, man. Like I think the thing is, I think like as long as you don't let like that monster, like I think it's like anything, you make something a monster, and then you're just terrified of it. But the idea is if you don't make it like the priority and you don't make it the thing, I don't think it's as scary as it. Like I remember it being terrifying, but like, you know, and there's some times like during the off season, it's terrifying. Like there's a part of you that knows that like, oh man, there's nothing coming in like in the holiday season. You got to spend tons of money on gifts and family stuff, and there's no real shows during that time. So like that's slow time. But I feel just like anything, if you there's you could figure it out, man. Like, you know, kind of thing. It's like one of those things where I'll take commissions or I'll go and like find some shows somewhere around the thing, or I'll you know, kind of thing. There's always like, it's like that the idea of that, like if you're trapped, there's always a way out if you just think about it from a different, you know. So
we have a few people watching. I want to say hi to them. Marcos MP Art says, "What's up, fellas?" He's a really cool artist. He pumps out a lot of work on Instagram. So I'll say hi to him.
Oh man. Guys.
So we'll be talking more about money and conventions. I'm going to put that on hold for now, okay? I'm going to save that for a little bit later.
Yeah.
So Union Street Choir, you told us a little bit about that. Talk to us about the DC bookends.
So right now,
I want to show this so people can see it, because these are pretty damn amazing.
Oh, cool. Thank you, man.
Appreciate that. All right, so talk to us about these.
Okay, so the DC bookends are super cool, man. Like I was fortunate enough to be offered a chance to, you know, design my own bookends kind of thing, which is it's very odd, because I feel like I probably should have went through the normal route of maybe doing some interiors and maybe finally get to do covers, and then maybe one day finally get to have my own statue. I kind of just jumped past all that stuff and went straight to statue, man. So it's very odd. You know, I still don't know how to really. I know some other people kind of see it a different way than I do. I'm kind of like, it's cool, and I'm just trying not to like, and I think it's cool, and I'm just trying to kind of like ride it. You know what I'm saying? Like, just feel with it. I'm not trying to, because like, you know, like anything, this could be my only thing I ever did. You know. I never know, but it's super cool. It's a great opportunity, and people. I'm hoping people like it. But I've already saw like some people trolling online and stuff, and it's.
Whoa, is this a video for it right here? The DC collectibles.
Yeah. Watch the video.
I'm gonna play a couple seconds of this. I can't find a good picture of the whole piece. Got music too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right.
So that was it's cool. They kind of put that out there. They did that, and then they're coming out in November. Kind of thing, and they're limited to like 5,000 and stuff. So it's super cool, and I'm super fortunate to be a part of that. And the cool thing is like, and this is the cool thing about the convention circuit is like, I feel like a lot like I think we discussed before the convention circuit. Like I would have never had that opportunity unless I was kind of doing as many shows as I could to present my work.
Oh, really?
So like. For instance, that happened because a lot of people think that the weird thing is I've been approached with all these things where like we talked about before, how people are just thinking I made these bookends by myself with my own money, and they're just there. And are you kidding me, man? Like I just spent like tons of money making these for no reason at all, like because I can't sell them. They're not like it's not like I can sell them, kind of thing. So So it was always odd for them people to approach me that way, and then so I always kind of find it to be kind of just odd that they just think that that the thing was I feel the convention thing. The only what happened is I was selling a print that was similar to the bookends. It was a Harley Quinn Joker. It was split.
Right.
It had Batman in the middle, and I split it so it's kind of like a cool thing. Where Batman was not even really colored, or he wasn't even part of it. He was just kind of like a simple thing. And then I was selling it at conventions, and then at San Diego, these guys came by, they purchased it, never said anything to me besides they wanted to buy one. And a few months later, I got an email asking if they said they were from DC and they wanted to talk. I kind of thought I was in trouble.
Yeah, right.
But I was just like, okay, cool. And they set up a meeting. And then from there, kind of just like they offered me the thing. They wanted me to redesign the image that they purchased and stuff. And then the rest of it kind of just happened, kind of thing. And then the original drawing that I had before was a bit different. And then I redesigned it, changed the outfits a little bit, and kind of, and then was given that opportunity to do that, and which was super cool. And it's done, and I'm waiting for it to come out where I can see like my name on the box and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's gonna be cool, man.
Yeah,
so
and then
it happens. So there's this fantasy for artists to get discovered at a convention or get picked up or whatever, and it kind of has happened for you so far.
Yeah, not the way not the way I expected, because I think majority of these dudes are are expecting to get picked up by doing comic book work, and I don't know how Ramon got picked up, but I don't know how a lot of these things happen. I always thought it was kind of like you get picked up for a comic book. I thought I would have to work for a bunch of indie people that were like low level indie stuff, and then maybe get picked up by Image, and then maybe get into DC. And I thought that was just and then so I kind of gave up on the whole idea that I would ever work for any of them. I just was like, all right, well, this is never gonna happen. So I kind of came to my piece with I'm just gonna come here, and I was already at this point I was making decent money at convention circuit and kind of getting a fan base based on my own stuff. So I didn't necessarily need anything. And I was doing well, so I didn't necessarily need it. And so therefore, I kind of just gave up on ever working for anybody, kind of thing. And then that kind of happened, and the opportunity came, and I took it, kind of thing. And that's basically, and that's the thing. I always tell people the convention thing. I feel like is based, like baseball, like Major League Baseball, and how Sacramento has the River Cats here. It's like minor league baseball. I feel convention pits are exactly the same. They don't try to tell us not to draw these characters, because I feel like this is where they pick up all their talent, kind of thing. So therefore, but they're not imagining they look at your style and say, oh, what does his Joker look like? I wonder what he would do, what it would look like if he drew the Joker. They're not looking, but they're just looking for you to draw the Joker, and that's really cool. I like how he draws the Joker already, kind of thing. And that's how I feel. I don't know if that's really how things are going, but I feel like if I was a business and I wanted to scout talent and I was at these conventions already, I would do it,
That's an interesting viewpoint. It really is.
That's how I think about it, so and then they give us these blank covers where we can draw on them.
Okay.
It's almost like they kind of set us up for working on their stuff and putting it out there, you know. And that's just from my perspective only, because it helps get the characters out there, and then you're also seeing unique perspectives on characters that you'd never really see before, you know, unless you like it was like at these things, you know. So, and that's just how I feel. And then like, but yeah, that's how it happened. And I got to work for DC, and it was super cool, you know. And they're super nice. It was a really cool experience. You know?
Wow. That's a really interesting perspective. So you said that earlier that you don't focus on making money. You kind of do your own thing, and it's worked out so far.
You know, back in the day, I was really scared. It's like I owe a lot of everything I'm doing right now to a lot of my friends that helped me along the way. There's a lot of like when I was first coming up or first doing convention, like, you know, I didn't take it seriously at first. Like I was a young kid, like in my early 20s, and then just like I kind of just went out and partied and wanted to be hanging out at the conventions and doing, because I liked comics, and I didn't take it seriously for a long time, and then I was just kind of messing around. And then so a lot of my friends, like I got together with this guy named like Justin Orr. He's one of my best friends and stuff. And then Corey Bernhardt, which is like a guy here locally. He's owns a tattoo shop here. And then Mike Henry, who buys a Transis online. So these guys were like really good. Yeah, so they were really good friends of mine, and a lot of them are still. I don't talk as Mike as much as I used to back in the day, but him and Justin and Corey, they kind of like molded me into being a better artist. Like I learned a lot from Mike, learned a lot from Justin, Corey, and these guys are older than me, and they were like far better artists than I was, like, you know, kind of thing at that point in time, and they kind of showed me how to do, like Mike was a big thing, Justin was, they all kind of showed me how to just do things. And I learned a lot from them. Like my style ended up becoming something because of these guys, like because I drew a lot with them, I hung out a lot with them, and without them I wouldn't be where I'm at all. And Justin's like one of those big dudes, like big, like I owe him a lot, because he started doing conventions. He worked at like you know, Nickelodeon and all these cool places, and then Justin's quit doing everything to kind of do conventions full time. Traveled all across the United States, did all these conventions, and he was able to make a decent living off of it. And he kind of like kept trying to talk me into it, which I didn't like. You know, like the money thing came in, I was just like, that just seems like a bad bet, man. Like that doesn't even make any sense to like not work a real job or not work at a studio and then just travel around the United States and just go to conventions. It just didn't seem like a smart move, you know?
Right.
He was just telling me it works. It's like he's all, and then he helped me out a lot, man. Like I didn't have all the money to go to shows, and Justin kind of like would either like give me part of his table and something until like he was basically gave me like training wheels in order for me to be by myself, kind of thing, until I was able to kind of figure it out on my own. And like, you know, man, the convention game is difficult. Like you find there's niches, there's all these things, then order to do things, and then there's these other kind of things where you just like all kinds of different ways to make money at these things, you know. So, and then I actually found a way that what worked for me. I don't know if it was style or if it was how I presented my stuff or whatever, but whatever it was, people started kind of gravitating toward, like, you know, were able to support me and become like a fan base based on what I do, which I'm very fortunate to have.
Yeah.
Where I can go across the United States, and there's always somebody that comes up that's followed me online, or they've crossed me, and like, and they always come by and support me, which is super cool and super weird, man. Like how I sell artwork across the world, where I'll send things to like Australia and like to China, and then like all these things. It's very odd, but very cool at the same time. You know,
it's humbling though, right?
Oh, definitely, man. Like I find myself in these like weird positions where there's a lot of ego in what we do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of like trying to pretend that we are something super special, but then when it comes down to it, you have to kind of understand that we just draw cartoons, and some of us are fortunate enough to draw cartoons for a living. And luckily, I am one of those people. And like, I don't know what's gonna happen, man. Maybe I'll have to get a job one day, or maybe I'll make like my own company. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but the idea is that I'm enjoying it, and I'm always trying to look forward to try something new every single.
But you're not just drawing cartoons. I think with your table, and something I strive for at my table, is that I'm giving someone an experience.
Yeah, and that's what they tell me. But I also want to try to keep it like, because I have friends that are surgeons and stuff like that. So you're just like, yeah, don't do that, like, kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah, right, okay.
like, I don't want to try. I try not to have like the ego. I think a lot of people see my demeanor as more of a egotistical thing when it's more of just like I'm not very social, and then it's really hard for me to be social. But I've learned to be social because this whole game is being social and being.
You really have to be at a convention. You have to.
Which is totally different from my personality, man. Like the reason I draw.
Right.
So talk to people. Like the reason why I've drawn in high school or when I was a kid is because I didn't have to interact with anybody.
I was the same way. Yeah, totally.
So like, but now, so like even like I come off as a certain way. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm like mean or I'm just like, or I'm like super egotistical about what I do. It's just that like it's hard for me to be like open like that all the time. But I'm getting better at it. I feel like where people to approach me and stuff like that.
Yeah, you do good. But I think the experience thing is significant. Like I've had a few people that come to the conventions with me to help out.
Yeah.
You know, and each one has said how much they enjoy your table and your work.
Oh, cool. Like you're
typically out of everyone there.
Yeah.
They're like, that's cool. Actually, at one of them in Pleasanton recently, my buddy bought a couple of yours, the Star Wars ones.
Oh, cool. Yeah, well, man,
it's not just you don't just have that wall of everybody. You have, when you go to your table, it's a different experience than another table.
Well, I didn't really know all that, but I really do appreciate hearing it. Like I just try to, I try to kind of always kind of have a cool, simple atmosphere, and also try to, and then plus it's like it's hard because I've heard from numerous people that I should have somebody at the table to sell for me because then I would do better. But then I feel like there's a yes and a no in that situation because I feel like I've been at people's tables that have like somebody selling for them, and then the artist back there is acting like I cannot be bothered because I'm
right.
drawing, and I find that to be very. There's a disconnect with that because I've seen people, and I've seen like popular artists do where I was a big fan of their work, and they'd show up and they do that, or like they'd have their girlfriend or their person like doing the talking, and he wouldn't even acknowledge the fact that I walked up to his table, and which ended up being the last time I ever walked to his table. So and that's like one of those things where I'm trying to avoid that, but also it makes it hard for me to do commissions while I'm at the show, and then try to be the sales guy. And if anybody that's came up to my table knows that I don't sell anything, I kind of just say hello and let me know if you have any questions. And then
you don't come across as like the salesman.
Yeah, I'm not good at it, man, and I don't think I really want to be. So I kind of just I let the artwork try to speak for itself, and then if they want to talk to me and they bring up some conversation, and so if they want to talk about something, like they want to talk about Star Wars, they want to talk about, like, I'm totally open to that stuff, man. But if they don't want to talk to me about anything, I'm cool with that too, So they
just saying hello makes such a big difference. And then I just kind of trust in my artwork that if I can get people to look over, that my artwork will do the rest.
Oh yeah, that's.
I mean, I'm polite and I talk to people, but it's like I have my shit all over, or my stuff, excuse me. Yeah. And
no, I don't know. I didn't know good because I custom sailor, man. So
I know, but I'm trying to keep it clean in case kids are watching.
Totally. So yeah.
It's not for you. It's for the potential kids watching this.
Right.
So. If I could just get them to look over, that my artwork will pull them in, more. That's kind of my hope, and I trust in it. It seems like that kind of works.
Yeah, and I hope I do the same thing, and that's like also like changing up displays or moving things around, and then also like the idea is it's hard because like when you have somebody with a giant print wall, how do you like make sure that monstrous thing is not kind of deterring from you? And that's the idea, is trying to kind of counteract that, because you can't like I said, I never knock the hustle, man. Whatever you got to do to make money, do your thing. But I have to try to be able to counteract that by just, if I'm next to somebody like that, I have to try to figure out kind of thing, which is something that I've learned because, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. So like the idea, I've been next to people that are just like terrible to be next to. Then I've been next to really then I've been next to rookies, and I've been next to like really big businesses. I've been next, so I've found ways to kind of like counteract the situation without, and still be able to make sure, because I like, when it comes down to it, there's enough going around for everybody there. So
there is.
For the most part. So like, it's just like the idea is like you just kind of make sure that you want to be able to shine by yourself, man. Like you gotta figure out how to shine all on your own. Because like when it comes down to it, man, nobody, like it is still very competition based when you're at a convention,
It really is, and I think we all go there with good intentions, and we all want to help each other out. But ultimately, I'm competing for people's money versus the people next to me.
Totally, and then there's nothing wrong with that mentality. I think that like the rest of us all know, like we're not, like, the thing is like we can be cordial and we can be cool, but the idea is that it's just like but we also are there to like make sure that we get ours, kind of thing. And because that's the whole thing, like especially coming from me, who this is like my only form of income aside from like freelance gigs and like any other kind of design or any kind of thing I do, missions. This is like, that's my thing, so I have to make sure that we make it, like I gotta hustle and make that thing work, so
no, that makes complete sense, and I'm glad I'm not the only one with that mentality. I'm not depending on this stuff to make a living, but I'm definitely there to make money,
Yeah, well, so, dude, like I always consider these conventions to be very Wild West based, man. Like it seems like there's no rules at these goddamn things. They just do what everybody's out there doing their thing.
There's rules, but no one follows the damn rules.
That's why, man.
If you read the instructions beforehand, there are rules, and people don't follow them.
They feel like if they can get away with, like, that's the thing. If you can get away with it, you can get away with it. Like,
yeah.
And then
one of them is you're not supposed to, if you build high or if you have walls on your side, you're not supposed to put your artwork facing my table.
Playing outwards, yeah.
I hate that. And if I do it, I ask the people next to me, hey, do you mind if I do this? And I give them an option. If I'm cool not doing it. But if someone does that to me, I build up higher and block them off. I can't stand that.
Yeah, I know. Dude, like I said, man, I've gotten altercations with people next to me. I've done like, dude, I've been at so many conventions, man. Like I had the last year, I probably have done like 30 last year.
Holy shit.
Kind of thing. So, I've had problems with people. I've had altercations, kind of thing. It's just like my personality is very sometimes to kind of be around, and then obviously you're always going to clash with some other people, and then obviously you're going to be cool with other people. It's all personality based. So I've been through it all, where you kind of do this, because like I was in Kansas City recently. There's a girl next to me there, and we didn't say anything to each other the whole entire weekend, like 3 days right next to each other, never said one word to each other.
Just because.
She kind of came off like kind of raw to me at the beginning, like when we were setting up, and then I just like, all right, and then I just kind of just didn't speak to her, and and we just kind of,
whatever. You're there to get your money.
We respected each other's space, and we kept it. Like, but the thing is, like we were like, I guess we were courteous in the sense that, like, I'm not going in her space, and going into mine.
Yeah.
Like, but we didn't.
That works.
Yeah, and it's fine.
That works. Hey, so you made a comment earlier about having someone sell for you and doing all the social part of it. Marco says he had that experience with Eric. He put Canty. I don't know if it's Canet or Eric Canty. I'm not sure what it is.
Eric Canetti.
That's what I thought. Okay, Canetti. Yeah. So incredible artist. But he said there was some dude selling for him, and Marcos just wanted to talk to him. But I guess it didn't happen. Yeah, it sucks.
No. Yeah, and then that whole group, like Canetti rolls with Essential Sequential, which is a group that, like, so that they have one salesman dude that runs all their, like, so
all those
dudes are there. Like, some of the best artists in the goddamn planet are in that group, kind of thing. Like, especially artists. You got like Dan Panosian, you got like Murphy's in that group. You got like Dave Johnson, and then Eric Canetti, and then like some of the best comic book artists in the world in that group, man. But those guys are that's the prom court, man. So you can't go to these things and just talk to the pretty girl, man. They don't let you. So it's like you're like coming off the street, you're like, I'm gonna talk to the pretty. I'm just gonna walk there. Like, don't go talk to her, man. Like, I'm gonna do it. Try to walk up there, it ain't gonna happen. So But you
So
got.
are you always in Artist Alley, or do you ever get the special guest
Oh
pro?
no, dude, like so I don't know how, I know there's dudes who know how to do that. I have no idea how to do that. I've always just paid my way, and I've always just like showed up just like everybody else, you know. I
I
always
think
applied
you
for
typically have to, like, be published in a big magazine or something, right?
I have no idea. Like, well, sometimes I'm guessing just like any clicky group, the promoter has its favorites, and he, kind of thing. Like the promoter has his favorite artist or favorite people, and he wants to bring this dude in because it's his favorite. Those people get guest status, or
Hmm.
kind of thing, or like or the people that get guest status are always the people like the actors that are bringing in more money,
Yeah.
and then like or your favorite person, and then some. But so I ain't never been offered anything like that, so I've always just paid. Like I've applied when I'm supposed to apply, and I
Yep.
sign up, and then like if there's credentials that need to be involved, I list all my stuff, and I list my website, and I list everything I need to do in order to get my spot.
Yep.
And then that's how I do. I've always done it. So, and then, but I do try. I'm trying to do like bigger things. Where I'm trying to do like booths now. So I'm working on trying to do that.
All right. All right.
So,
So real quick, what is social media? What does that do for you at this point?
so I'm not really great at it. Obviously, I find I don't know, man. I'm kind of like on this weird thing with social media. I think it's good for people, like for information. Like I'm gonna be here, or I'm gonna be there, or I'm selling this, or I'm doing this, and it's really great for me in that kind of situation where I feel like if you have a like say like when it comes down to all of them, I'm only good at Instagram. I think most of us are only
Yeah.
good at Instagram. I have my things sent to everywhere else, but I find Instagram is the only thing that really works for me.
Yeah.
And I don't have a huge amount of followers on there, but it seems that the ones that are on there do support me, kind of thing. When I do
Yeah.
hang out, they do support me, which I think is really all that matters. Is that the active followers you have, even if you had 100 followers, if all those 100 followers supported you, it's really all you needed.
Right.
I think because you can have a million followers and none of them support you,
Right.
and nothing. Like you're just a teenage girl with a million followers that don't mean nothing. Like. So I don't know. It's weird. Like I don't think your followers numbers mean anything unless they're actually active people that are actually doing stuff for you. So
Yeah, I definitely agree.
yeah. So I don't really like if some like because I've been next to dudes. I'm not gonna name any names or nothing, but I've been next to dudes that have like 97,000 followers on Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll make them eat their goddamn lunch sitting next to me at the show, kind of thing. Your followers don't mean nothing to me. Like it don't mean anything. And the same thing like with Justin. Like you sit next to Justin, Justin will make you look like you ain't never done a show before because he'll make you just look bad, kind of thing. Because like you just like the idea is that like you have a way of doing things and people are gravitating towards you. Because I've sat next to Justin, he made me look like an idiot all the time, kind of thing. So. Really comes down to how you do your thing and how it works and how you make it work. And I've been next to dudes that like I don't like in my mind I don't think they're very good artists, but then again it's so subjective that it doesn't really matter. So
Sure.
I've been next to dudes that I don't think are very good that just destroyed me, based on based on a niche, based on whatever it is. Like they just handed me like I was just like, all right, man, kind of thing. And I feel like, and then you never know, man, like what you're gonna get when it comes to those things. So
yeah, once you're actually at a convention, I hear what you're saying. The amount of followers doesn't do a whole lot for you.
no, it really depends. Like if all your followers are in that city, then I guess it would work. But like for most, your followers are all over the place. So and
right.
one or two that are actually come through and hang out, which is always great when that does happen. So yeah.
But I've seen you did a Kickstarter or two for Union Street Choir.
So, I'm having I'm like Kickstarters are difficult. I did I think 3 that were successful. Okay. I did one. My recent one wasn't. And I think
really.
Honestly, I think that was all my fault. It was like my fault, and then my other because in the moment I was I just like Kickstarters. You gotta hold their hands, man. Like they don't. You can't just put it up there and just ignore it. You gotta baby it. You gotta constantly be on there. You gotta constantly hassle people. You gotta constantly just be there doing stuff. And my last one I did, I just wasn't. You know, I don't know if
it's very demanding on your time.
totally, like, and that's the problem is I had so much other things going on. I was working on the DC thing during the time I ran the Kickstarter, and I was doing like all these, then I was trying to figure out all this other stuff. So the Kickstarter at that time wasn't my priority. So I had to kind of so then I just ended up not making its mark. And there ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Like I always, even when I went on there and said it, I was like, look, man, I was like, maybe my heart wasn't in it. I didn't try hard enough. I didn't do enough to do it. And it's not that I couldn't have done it. And I could have made it work. It's just that I wasn't willing to put in the effort that I needed to. So if you want to do Kickstarter, they're cool and they're useful and everything like that. But man, I think I'm just kind of over them unless I'm going to do something really big, you know? So,
yeah. Like I did one, and it was, I made it, but it was a huge dedication of time.
Totally. And the last one I did was my fourth one. The other three were all good. They all made their thing. I did like the first one I did was Union Street, like for the first time, and then I did an art book, and then I think I did another art book or something, and then they all did really well. And then I tried to do Union again, which didn't work. And then that was just, you know, I think a lot of it was just not enough.
So for your social media followers right now, there's not a huge amount of crossover between who shows up at a convention and who follows you, right?
You know, more and more now. I think that like there's more and more people that are like that go to conventions that are like coming by and seeing me now than in the past. But I think that goes with anybody doing something long enough. Eventually, it's gonna start working. You know, you got to put your work into it, and you got to put that into it, and then people start like. So I think more people are coming around based on like following my Instagram now than they did in the past. You know?
Well, so are your followers more of like a pool for potential Kickstarters and commissions?
Yeah, I think the majority of my followers are about like commissions, Kickstarter, and their prints. They're like a lot of my people like now, because like my prints are a bit different than majority of people that do prints at conventions. So I do the limited runs of prints, so they're all signed.
I noticed that.
Huh?
I noticed that, and I've started doing that, and it's way more limited because you did a few hundred, right?
Yeah. So when I first did it, I kind of like when I did a Disney one, I did only 100. That was it, and then but when I did when I was doing like my normal ones around 150, and now I bumped them up to 300 kind of thing, and they last for a little bit, and some of them don't last at all. So it's one of the then like if I have to do another one, I have to change up the color sequences. I have to change up a lot of stuff in order to be different if I'm going to do it again. Which I don't think the only time I went into like a second and third printing was the Han and Greedo piece, you know, and that's pretty much it. So. Yeah.
So when it comes to, we have a question. When it comes to finding out what conventions to go to, is there a site you go to? How do you find out what's coming up?
So
you gotta know like way in advance for some of these.
Yeah. So like that's the thing is like either like, you know, like luckily, like I said before, Justin was a big part of him knowing, like he went to shows all over the place. He took any show he could, right? And so he kind of filtered out the ones that were good and which ones were bad. Yeah. Like that. So it's kind of like a lot of trial and error knowing which one, but there are some sites out there that have a list of comic conventions, you know, kind of thing. You just look up comic convention lists and there should be something there. But the idea is, like you said, like getting into these shows, it has to be a year in advance. You can't just like, oh, that show's next week, I'm going to go sign up for it now. Like that ain't happening.
And like, if they have a spot open, then it's probably not worth it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So like the majority of the good shows that you want to be a part of are something you have to sign up like a year in advance, you know, kind of thing. Like for instance, I just put in my application for Emerald City for 2018 just yesterday. So that's one of those things like that show ain't happened until March 2018. I just put in an application for that, you know, kind of thing. Like their applications are purely based on the they filter them out, so they go through your app, they look at it, and then they have a jury or whatever to decide. That's that one show. Some shows just let you pay. If you sign up and they're like, hey, the payment, you're in. They don't care. And some other shows are like auditioning you to get in, kind of thing. So like all the Repop shows are auditioning to get in. And then San Diego is the same way. WonderCon's great. It's like one of my first shows when I was really young. The first shows that I ever did was WonderCon. Still one of my favorite shows. But yeah, so it's the idea is you have to do your research and like if you go to the show, plan ahead. Like you're like you want to get into doing comic conventions, make sure you're vigilant. You make a thing about like your calendar. Make sure that show is that time, and you got to make sure that you sign up for it when the app comes available, and you know, kind of thing. Or like and then or find some other dudes that did it, and like you know try to find out when it is and stuff like that. Like, and I think that's really all it is
I know for some of them, like for SAC Anime in Sacramento. They have a Facebook page. It's like SAC Anime Artist Alley or something like that, and they tell you when registration is, and that goes within minutes. Like it's just gone.
Yeah, that's the thing is I've never gotten into that show. Plus my work is not anime based, so therefore it was just kind of like if I did do it, it was something here local that I could do. Necessarily, I don't find the anime crowd to be something that I would really spend my time doing or wasting time doing, like Fanime or any of those anime shows. It's just not my thing. Like I can't go there and actually take it seriously or act like I care about anything you guys are into. Like that's just there ain't nothing wrong with that. Like
on a separate note, I kind of love the anime booths.
Yeah,
like it's just sprawling, you know, with prints, right? Yeah. And they'll have like a little window for the person's face.
Yeah. It's like a little takeout window. So, but also if you look at the history of this stuff, and I'm not trying to like hate on it, but you look at the history of the anime culture. You look at like how back like, about 10 years ago, how like Barnes and Nobles had the wall-to-wall anime thing. Like they had a whole goddamn wing dedicated to anime, and you can see now it's down to like one bookcase. They didn't really support their stuff, man. Like they went to the internet and downloaded it. They went to Barnes and Noble and just read it for free. Like it's just not a good bet, man. Like I just never thought like the majority of those fans I don't think are really like they're not invested in buying things. They're more invested in what they can get for free, you know, kind of thing. And that's just like I feel like that's the culture kind of thing. And I could be totally wrong, but that's how I feel. And I feel like my stuff doesn't fit there anyway. But
no, it doesn't. No.
Yeah, but the application thing you're talking about, they got some kind of thing, dude. I have no idea how they do it. There's got to be some kind of app they're doing or something because those dudes are like, it's like I don't know how they do it. Like Fanime is like that. Any anime-based show, the apps, like the signups, have gone like in seconds. There's got to be something they're doing, like they know how to do. Because I don't know how they're doing it, but it's gone in seconds.
Tell me you don't love the little windows when they stick their head through it.
Yeah, those are great.
To smell something. You're like, come on, right?
They're awesome.
I love those. All right.
I tried doing that for a while. It just looked weird.
Oh, did you really?
Never did that. So never.
I couldn't do it. I could not do that.
Yeah, well, again, there's the lines we won't cross, man. We won't cross when it comes to things.
Yes. All right. Another question. When traveling, so I've never done any traveling. This is you here. Do you mail your prints to where you're going, or do you ship it with you in your flight?
I take the prints with me. So like I always like. So this is what I've learned also is like when you travel on the road. I've had my bags. Like sometimes like it doesn't happen often, but sometimes your bags ain't gonna make it. You do connectors and something like that. You're risking a small percentage where your stuff ain't gonna make it. You know, kind of thing. And it's happened to me twice. So like what I learned, what I've always kind of like in your mind, you got to just keep in mind that like if, for instance, your display stuff doesn't make it, because it's like if you check your stuff, check underneath the plane, if it doesn't make it, what are you going to do? So like you always take your merchandise or your merch with you on the plane inside. So you put your clothes in that bag, man. You can check your clothes, check everything else, but always kind of take your merch with you on the plane. So you can take it with you. If the rest of the stuff don't make it in a day, you still can just lay it out on the table. And that's what I've always done, and it's always kind of served me well. So the idea is that what most people would take on as a carry-on would be their clothes and stuff like that. I just take all my stuff that I'm going to be selling at the show as my carry on, and then that works for me. Displays and stuff will show up later, and like even if it's a day, like they showed up for me like a day later, and then we just set up normally on Saturday instead of Friday, you know. So.
All right. So you mentioned there not being a line that you would be willing to cross. So let's talk about this a little bit more. Making money versus just keeping your own integrity intact.
You know, I think that's it's really like, I think me and you kind of briefly talked about it before. There's a line for everyone. I think there's some dudes don't have a line. Some people just don't have a line. They're willing to do whatever to make money, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it really comes down to the individual. Like for instance, me, like I already kind of feel bad about the idea of selling fan art or doing fan art. I just kind of felt a little odd about it. Like because I actually spent like maybe 2 years to a year trying to just do original work of just my work. I tried it. It was very, it was not good. So like I did it, and I'm proud to say I did it, but it was not a fun year and a half for me, man. Like I was breaking even, if not losing money the whole year kind of thing. Every show I went to was losing money, and then you see the dudes next to me with the prints just like doing it, and then you get a little upset, man. And you like a part of you just kind of dies because you're just like I'm better than that guy, but he didn't matter because Batman was the shadow kind of thing, and then like didn't matter. Like that artist didn't matter. All that mattered was that he drew Batman kind of thing.
You're right. You're like I feel the same way. There's people that are busting stuff out and they have all the characters, you know.
Yeah.
So I think
this is what I was getting. The point I was trying to make is that when it comes down to me making fan art, I was never really a fan of it. Like I didn't want to do it. But when you are gonna do it, from my artistic integrity, I feel that I can only do, fan art of stuff I'm a fan of. That means stuff that I can actually talk about, stuff I'm actually passionate about, and stuff that I actually know. And if I can't do that, and then I'm not going to do it. Like for instance, when we get back to like the anime stuff, I know nothing. I don't know absolutely nothing about any of that stuff. And, like I give Akira and like and Astro Boy the respect, man. Or Voltron, all that stuff, like kind of thing. But when it comes down to any of the new stuff, I have no idea. So like, and I know there's like, if I did do it, I could sell it. Like, like especially if you go to a certain convention, I would probably make a lot of money off of certain things that like I knew nothing about. But I'm not willing to cross that line because I want, if somebody's buying something for me, and I feel like that also builds like a branding for you because selling what you're attracting the people that are into the same shit. So sorry, stuff. You're building that whole like thing. Like you're finding your people that are for you, not just finding like your art and saying blah blah blah. You're also finding the people. You're kind of showing them who you are, and they're gonna like you for who you are, and then because there's some kind of rapport there. Because like the idea, what's bringing them to you is their connection with that one character. Like, but also not only just the way you're drawing that character, but that character, they like how you do it. The character's bringing them over. That's that commonality that you're getting by doing it, and therefore you talk to you. They vibe well with you. Then they become a fan of yours, or they become somebody that wants to support you. And I find that that's more important than just trying to sell something that's popular at the moment.
That's what I was talking about earlier with giving somebody an experience. That's what you want. And I feel like when people come to my booth, there's a decent mix of like humor. There's lots of mashups. People are calling their friends over. Hey, come check us out. Like if there's an experience, and you like my style too, which is ideal.
Totally. And that's I think that's my integrity thing. But I also try to do the thing where I throw a few of my original pieces in there for my own kind of thing. And then I do some for the fans, and that's but it's also stuff that I'm a fan of. So like I do a few for me, a few for the fans, and then I just let it go, and then I just roll with it, So, and that's
you don't seem to bust out a whole bunch of new prints.
No, man. Like I feel like this year, like I was trying to put together, like I'm trying to put together a new art book for this year because people have been asking me. I'm trying to do one a year. So but I'm not doing Kickstarter. So I'm gonna do is like put together an art book and just do pre-orders online, and stuff like that. But I'm trying to figure. So I was going through it and like working on a new art book, and I realized that I did way more art the last 2 years than I actually did this year, kind of thing. So it's like I don't put out a lot of new content. I try to do one maybe every quarter. So every 3 months I try to do 1 or 2 new pieces and stuff, and then kind of like have those as those things and kind of roll with them, and then like, so right now the art book is not necessarily going to be any finished pieces. I'm trying to just do raw sketches kind of thing, like a sketchbook. Because I haven't done one in a while, so I'm going to try to do that. So it's not like the art book; it's just like a sketchbook. So
yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, but like when it comes down to it, I try to do new stuff. But man, like I said, it's hard to kind of be inspired to do like stuff all the time, So especially like just
I totally agree. There's like when episode 7 had come around. I did a Rey and Chewbacca piece. I think it was after it came out, just because it was Star Wars, and I think I've sold maybe one for $5. And it was just because my heart wasn't into it. It wasn't a typical thing for me.
That's what you get down to, man. Like doing what you're passionate about, it actually comes through in it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're really into Star Wars, it shows and people can see it, kind of thing. And that I feel like when you're trying to money grab or trying to do something like that, like you kind of fall flat because they don't even know, but they can kind of feel there's no real passion in that project, kind of thing, And then
totally, absolutely. There was a woman at the end of Silicon Valley Comic Con. She came over and just like bought a bunch of my stuff, and she was excited. And she said, "I can tell that you're really into it." She could feel it. She said, "It was cool because you and I had talked earlier that morning. I think it was." And she's like, she could tell I wasn't there just to make money. That I was really putting my heart into it, and it was cool that she could feel that,
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so when you want to pick your fan art, like, because like honestly, man, I always encourage people like that ask me, like younger artists ask me if they want to do because their stigma is like you can't just draw whatever you want and put it out there and sell it. And I was like, why not, man? I was like, if it was people want to see their favorite character, then just do your favorite character and put it out there. Ain't nothing wrong with that, So, but make sure you do stuff like, because I think that's the misconstrued thing is some dudes do it just for the money and they're doing it, but like they're just like pumping stuff out just because it's popular at the moment and they're just throwing it in there. And there's tons of dudes that do that, and it's not my thing, man. Like niches aren't my thing, and then or doing that's really not my thing. I kind of just try to do whatever I'm into at the moment, and then or whatever I'm into as a kid that makes me feel nostalgic about something, and I put it out there,
Yeah. Marcos is chatting with us in the chat. He said sometimes if I do a quick doodle that means nothing to me becomes popular sale instead of something I spent time on. It's right. Like if you're into it, people feel it.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's the thing. Sometimes you're just like, that happens a lot, man. You like I already know that like a lot of things where like it was a struggle to finish that piece, or was a struggle to work on it, and it didn't come easy, and it wasn't necessarily my favorite thing I did. It ends up being the most popular thing. But then also what I've also learned is things sell in regions. Like say for instance something I have in LA will sell way more than it will sell in Seattle. Seattle gravitate towards something totally different than people in LA would. So you can, or like if you go back east, same thing. But granted, like if you for instance, like when I did the Han and Greedo thing, which was one of the more popular pieces, but then the Harley Quinn and Joker was a popular piece for me too. And then so you can see how certain things will grab. Like for instance, when I did like Link smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did really well in Seattle, man. They loved it. But then, like when I went to LA, the Rocketeer piece I did really, really well. And then the Link did nothing, kind of thing. It sold like 2. So that's kind of like how something like how you think it's not going to do well, and you go somewhere else and it does really well in comparison to some of your other stuff.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'm gonna show the Link piece. I'm gonna here's Link.
Oh yeah.
That's a cool piece. You don't see him smoking a cigarette in the games very often.
It's a stressful job, man. You ain't never get no play for that. All the time, you ain't never.
So this kind of brings us, it brings us back full circle. What you said earlier about not stressing too much about money. And that's kind of what we're talking about here is you're following your passion.
Yeah.
Following it.
No, I feel like, you know, money, like the thing is, you know, what's weird, it's what's odd is that like somebody my daughter, she asked me one day, like, you have kids, so you kind of understand. So I was sitting in the car and my daughter goes, she just blatantly asked me, my 11-year-old goes, so what do you think's more important? Is like love or money more important? You know, which is a very odd question for an 11-year-old.
Wait, you're breaking up. Hold on, start over, you're breaking up.
Oh, you hear me now? You got it? Okay, so my daughter, I was in the car with my daughter and we're driving somewhere, and then but she asked me what I felt was more important. She's all, is love more important or is money more important? She asked me that, and I was like, so I don't know what to say, you know, kind of thing. And a part of me, like, it's weird. And then what you end up deciding is that money's not rare and love is rare. So the idea is that love is obviously more important than money, you know, kind of thing. So technically, when you kind of wrap that around, like, because when you look at like these convention things, it doesn't seem to be hard to make money. We've seen dudes that just make money on the most weirdest things ever. So obviously, it's not hard to come across a way to making money. Like, making money, it's just what are you willing to do to make it? Even if you're willing to push past that line and jump past it and make money in a way that you felt uncomfortable doing, you're still making money, you know, kind of thing. So technically, it's not necessarily difficult to find ways to make money, but it is hard to find something that's like, it's hard to find something like love in comparison to like money. So like so I try not to let myself stress out about it. And then, like, you know, as long as you're like, put yourself in that perspective where you're just like, it'll work out, man. Like, it'll work out as long as like I do what I'm doing and I keep like trying. Like the idea that the fear of me failing is what kind of keeps me kind of like when I get to the point where something's not working, I just switch it up and I try something different. You know, like for instance, if it is a Kickstarter, you try a Kickstarter. You've never done it before, but like there's got to be another way of doing this that I haven't tried yet. And you've never done a Kickstarter, do a Kickstarter. You know, if you've never done a comic convention, sign up for a comic convention. There's always a way of doing it where like it's hard work. Nobody, like, this job is, I think, more, it's like what I'm doing now is probably harder than any job I've had ever because of everything you have to put yourself through and everything you have to do. But the end result is that there's something cool about the hustle that you put into it and everything that you've taken from like working so hard to get what you got. And then I feel it's like way more fulfilling because how much hard work you put into it, you know?
We got that.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing is I try to just make sure that like I try new things always. Like if you're feeling like your money's coming scarce or something, just try something new. I don't feel like it's something like because in a normal job you're dependent on the money. Like the idea of them giving you this check at the end of every 2 weeks is what's kind of keeping you there and keeping you in line because it's that comfortability. But once you're in a position of trying to make your own money all the time, it's very different. You know, you got to constantly just think of new things to do and new things, which I find way more fulfilling than actually sitting there waiting for them to feed me like a pet, you know, kind of thing. So, but then again, like owning your own business or being your own business is not for everyone. So it really kind of depends on what you want to do, you know. But I feel like anybody can start their own business or do what we're doing if they want to do this kind of thing, you know. Because I've seen dudes.
So Marcus, was just a quick one here. GoFundMe or Patreon. Kickstarter worked. I did it once. Patreon, I opened one up, but I can't keep up with it.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I have no idea how to use it, and then and plus it just seems weird. It just seems like you're just asking for money for nothing. I don't know. I find it to be odd. Like unless like I don't know. Like I know there's like YouTubers and people on there. Cut down again. Okay, so
you're there.
Okay, so I'm just saying, like, there's YouTubers and the personalities online that know how to work that system. It totally works for them. For me, on the other hand, I don't know what I do. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not like a YouTuber guy or like a personality online. So I don't know. I feel like that stuff works for them. Or like if you're offering a service, like you're doing like a modeling girl just offering pictures of them naked or something. That's something, you know?
Yeah.
Or a podcast is like putting free content out there and asking for donations. It's totally something. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, and I know there's like dudes that draw online and draw for people and do stuff, and that's totally fine. I'm not that person. I don't know how to like draw and talk to people at the same time. So
Yeah.
it's just, I'm not built that way. So, but like, if you can do it, man. Like, you know, that's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong, because I looked into one. I just didn't know how to do it. So it seemed hard.
Right.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. All right. So my final question for you is just with talking about artistic integrity, I guess, and land the DC book. You didn't attempt to do that. That was not a goal of yours, right?
No. The DC thing just kind of happened, and I think like I kind of. I feel like, you know, it's one of those things, like, I kind of live by this thing where you just, which is kind of, I'm going to misquote Steve Martin, but it's the idea of just doing you as best as you can do you until they ignore you anymore. And that's basically what you do, you know, and that's what I did. It's like, just do you to the best you can, man. And that's it. And I think eventually things will come to you, you know? So. And
what if you had designed the bookends with DC in mind, would it have looked different, and do you think you would have landed it?
You know, the thing is, I had never even thought about doing
stuff. I know, right?
So
think about it. Put yourself in that mindset where you have a goal thing for DC. Do you think it would have looked a lot different?
If I designed, yeah, I probably would have done it more of like an angular thing instead of a two-dimensional thing. And like, there would have been different like choices I would have made in designing it if that's what my intention. But obviously, they saw something in it that I didn't see, you know. And they saw bookends when I just drew an illustration that I thought was clever, you know. So, or I thought was presented really in a cool way, and they saw bookends, and I didn't necessarily see that at all, you know.
God damn it. I see you moving. Still all right. We better let's stop it now while we're ahead, okay?
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. So thanks for having me, dude. I appreciate. Hopefully, kind of you're able to get something out of this. Like I know it's like chopping up, so hopefully you like watch it and it's all jacked up.
Well, it's still viewable. Definitely got a lot of. You're filled with knowledge about conventions, and it was a great conversation on my end. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Like, I feel like, you know, just like whatever. There's always something to learn from somebody, man. You know, even if like it's a kid or whatever, you can learn something from anybody. So
yeah,
anybody can take something out of this. Super cool. If not, you know, it's just fun to talk to you and hang out, man.
I appreciate it. That's it.